Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Work at Home Rockstar Podcast. Excited for today's episode. We are talking to the CEO of Jewel Consultancy. And what she does a bunch of things, but she helps people to focus on what they really desire in life and helps them get it. So I'm excited to be rocking out today with Arlene Cohen Miller. Hey, Arlene, you ready to rock?
I am ready to rock.
Awesome. We always start off here on a good note. So tell me a story of success that we can be inspired by.
I guess one of my stories for success is that I had a solo practice of law in a suburb of Cleveland, Ohio, called Lakewood, Ohio, and I had an opportunity to move across country to sell my practice and to become a partner in a small boutique law firm. My son was 9 at the time, and with the help of a few of my very good friends, I actually managed to sell my practice like in like a month. People just sort of came to my rescue, said, talk to this person, they wanted to buy it, and to travel across the country and to, take my son to a new place. I didn't even know if that would be possible. I was divorced at the time, and to buy into a new business and to start a whole new life. And it was quite the journey to pull all that together.
Hmm.
My ex-husband really hadn't taken much of an interest in our son. He had gotten remarried and had like 3 more kids, but it took a while for him to say, even though I wasn't not interested in him, to let us go and just to give us the opportunity to have a whole new breath in life. My son had had pretty bad asthma at the time, so moving from the Midwest with a lot of humidity and everything out to sunny, dry Colorado was a really good thing for him in just so many different ways and for our business and for life. So that was like a real step to have the courage to do that because I had always lived in the South or the Midwest. I'd never really been out to the West to live. And we made it happen.
Good for you. Wow, that would have taken a lot of courage to. Where did the idea come from?
Well, I was a family law attorney and I was doing a lot of divorce work and child custody work, and I was being called to the court to be a guardian ad litem appointed to represent children when there was alcohol or drug abuse or other weird stuff going in the home. And I was like, I started that right out of law school. I mean, I worked for some other attorneys for about 3 or 4 years and I opened my own solo practice. But I come from like a nice suburban family in Louisville, Kentucky, and I really didn't have all the background of how to really take care of yourself that I started when my son was young. And so I was sort of mowed over by it all. The legal system is not in the divorce law is not a very kind place to be. It's really it was really a big rude awakening to life. Plus, people at their worst and dealing with parents that, if they're coming through a divorce, a lot of parents would try to pit their kids against each other. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I just got to see a lot of the worst of that stuff. And so I changed to commercial law. I was sharing office space in like a storefront office in Lakewood, Ohio. Not very glamorous, but there was two other attorneys. There was an employment agency, and there was this guy that was doing collections for businesses. And he was just selling packages to business. And he said, "Will you be my attorney?" And so that I can turn this over to legal if the people don't pay, and then you have friends all around the country because you're connected with commercial law. You can send it out to them. And I said yes. And so I stopped doing family law, which was kind of a drama, just to let all that money go, and stepped into commercial law. And the firm that I was buying into, that's all they did. And they had all the technology. They were a step up. And I was just really ready to move out of Ohio. I loved it. The people were wonderful, but it was like 6 months of overcast dreariness, and it wasn't helping my son. So I met an attorney at a commercial law meeting up in Chicago, and yeah, that's how it happened.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, that's so cool that it actually worked out. And I mean, family law must be so hard. You must have to have some real thick skin to be able to handle all that negativity flying back and forth, right? There's
Yeah, and a lot of
rarely
the
any
women,
winners.
yeah. Well, the women I knew that did it, I just I couldn't find their heart. It's like, do you have
Mm,
any feeling left? That they really, and I just wasn't able to do that.
mm.
I wasn't able just to totally put a brick wall around myself when I'm dealing with people.
So now, So now changing everything must have been a bit of a challenge. There might have been some things that didn't go as planned. And I wonder, can you share with us some bad notes, maybe some business mistakes that you've made and how we can avoid them or recover?
Um, I guess the business mistakes I made as a young attorney is that I didn't get enough money up front to handle divorces and stuff like that, and then people didn't want to pay. So
Uh,
I think you really have to know who your clientele are and to be really selective with the people that you work with. Because sometimes as a young business person, you'll just take anything because you want to get your feet off the ground. And I think you really need to listen to your sixth sense. And if something's telling you that this is not going to turn out well, because I really had that sixth sense with one of the early clients that did this. She just seemed a little bit off. And and it turns out that she was an alcoholic who had been really dry for a whole number of years. But when she started going through the divorce, she started drinking again. So I think it's
mm,
really important to pay attention to your intuition and not just go, I'm a young business person. I really need this business to stay afloat, because sometimes it's better not to get that and get to some other stuff that you actually have solid people you enjoy working for than just a disaster in the making that you could have probably avoided.
yeah. I get that a lot with the intuition, right? We always have these gut feelings and you tend to sort of discount them and you really shouldn't because you
No,
know
don't do that.
they're definitely clues. Yeah, that's really good. And
Yeah.
so getting money up front, like did you change any sort of like practices like moving forward that now you have in place?
Well, I got out of domestic relations law, which is family law, and
There you
commercial
go.
law. So I just switched over because there was a really cool businessman in the business, the office space that I was working with, and he
Mhm.
wanted to work with me to help businesses collect their debts. He sold collection packages, but lots of times letters just didn't do it for people, and these people wanted their money. So I really enjoyed it, because I think people deserve to get paid for their goods and services.
I agree.
And so and most of collection law is you get paid when you collect. Occasionally there'll be something where there's an hourly rate, but most of it's all contingent fee basis, which means when you collect the money, you take a portion and you give it back. So I didn't really have to deal as a commercial attorney
Yeah,
with that stuff anymore. And it was such a relief because I was doing a good job for people, but I didn't have to bug them for money because they knew they were going to give me a portion of whatever I got for them, which was more than what they had. And they were happy about that.
I love that. That's great. So let's talk a little bit about honing your craft. Like, how do you get good, or I guess even stay good at what you do? I mean, and I imagine that law kind of changes sometimes, right? Don't you have to keep up on things?
Yeah, well, law wasn't that hard because in the practice of law nowadays, it's not like it used to be where they're just person would hang their shingle out and they would do everything. No one does that anymore. And so you
Mhm.
have an area of expertise. There is continuing legal education that's required to keep yourself up to date in order to stay licensed in Colorado or anywhere that you are practicing law. And so it's not that big of a deal to
Okay.
really stay upbeat with it. I guess, I've experienced that more in depth as because I sold my business
Yeah.
after many, many years because I just got burnt out. And
Mhm.
I love the practice of law, but it was always there. You could go on a vacation, you could go on a business trip, you had to work really hard before you go. When you came back, there was no ever saying, I'm just going to take a holiday.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I got my diploma in coaching and mentoring and my diploma in transformational holistic counseling from Australia. I can't use it, but I know it, so I can apply it to my day-to-day life and working with people, and certification in meditation when I was an attorney. So I just started applying that
Nice.
when I sold my practice, and it just feels like in that area, it's really important to not just take courses, but to actually have peers in your industry that you work with and you keep in touch with. I mean, for example, right now I have a really good friend who's a professional certified coach like me. She lives in Australia, and we coach each other. We sort of alternate weeks. If we need to skip a week, we do, but we and then we critique each other. This went well for me. You might want to do this. So it is really important, as a coach and as a mentor, to really get feedback from other people, on a regular basis.
Awesome. Awesome. So you have sort of like a bit of a mastermind in a way.
Yeah, and she's a friend, and so but we really have stuff come up that we could use some help with in our lives, as we all do. So it's great to have a coaching person that is really good, and to help you over the bumps in your life, and but actually give you really honest critiquing back. This really worked for me. You might want to think about this, because clients are going to do that. They'll
Mm.
either stay with you or they'll leave. But someone like that, it's really very, very valuable.
Yeah. Well, so you're really fortunate to have a friend that's able to do that kind of stuff for you. Look, is that how you became friends, or were you friends already? Like, how did that relationship form?
Well, she went through the same coaching school I did, the Global Coaching
Oh,
Academy, and we met that way. And I don't know if she went through after me or not, but I don't know. We both worked together for a while in the Global Coaching Academy, helping to tutor the students and stuff like that, especially as they're going through their time when they're actually learning how to coach, and when they're actually getting out and working with people on it's called pro bono, a free basis, to really learn how to be coaches when you're not in that really kind of sheltered environment. And so I've worked with her. I worked with her in that capacity. We just stayed in touch. She's a lovely, lovely person, and yeah, that's how we
I love
decided.
that.
And it's just a recent thing. We don't do it all the time. About 6 months ago, we said, this would be a good idea. Would you like to do this? And I said, yes. And so, yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. It's not the only thing I can do, but it's working at the moment.
Cool. Oh, do you have any other ways that you're learning? Like, how else do you mentorship and all that stuff, or do you?
Oh, absolutely. Well, the International Coaching Federation offers classes, and there's all sorts of organizations that offer classes that help you to be a better mentor. It doesn't necessarily come under the title of mentoring. It might be just studying like trauma or something
Mm,
like that, because people that come to us as coaches and mentors, even though we're not counseling, we're definitely not doing that. It's different. It's important to know, to be informed about trauma, for example, like I studied that, so that if I feel that coming up for someone as a coach or as a mentor, I can help them to work through it without stepping into counseling mode.
okay. Yeah. Which I'd imagine probably comes up more than you might think, right?
A lot of people feel traumatized right now with everything that's happening in the world,
Yeah.
and when I was growing up, my mother had the opportunity to stay at home and be a stay-at-home mom,
Mm,
and people were able to live on one income back then, and most people can't do that now. So, you know the professional women that I deal with, most of them are really smart, brilliant women that have great careers, but they have kids too, and some of them have partners, some of them don't, but it's a lot to juggle. You can't be everything to everybody without something going.
we're seeing that a lot too. And you're right. My mom was a stay-at-home mom as well, and yeah, I mean, it'd be so much more difficult nowadays, especially with a job, with a employment. Maybe if you have a business, but even still, you're going to be working around the clock doing your business, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was really fortunate when my son was born. He was born right after I opened my solo practice in that suburb of Cleveland. Not born, but I found out I was pregnant. So he was
Hmm.
born 9 or 10 months after I opened my business. And
Yeah.
at the time I was married, and he was working crazy hours, but at least there was a food on the table. There
Yeah.
was a roof over my head. And so, during the first year of his life, when I was absolutely, totally sleep deprived at all times, I didn't have to work full time. I sort of could balance it out a little bit more until he got a little bit older. So I'm really grateful that as a working mother, that I have always been self-employed, because I could kind of orchestrate things to take things home at night if I wanted to pick them up from school. But a lot of working women, professional working women, don't do that. They can't
Yeah.
do that. They're a judge or something, and they have to be on the bench at certain times.
Well, this is one of the big benefits of working from home too, is like and having your own business is to be a little bit more flexible with some of those things so that you can, still provide an income for your family, but also be there for some of those important things, right?
Absolutely. I have a yoga practice and I don't want to do it late at night. That doesn't work for me. So, I can sort of do my schedule around that. Which
Mhm.
class do I want to go to, and or something or whatever it is for you to sort of float your boat so you can let go of stress and, have a life besides the work that we do. I think it's really, really, really important.
And it's funny that you say that because it comes up quite often. I find it very interesting that a lot of people who are self-employed or have businesses, uh, maybe more like the self-employed, like the solo businesses, the home businesses, small businesses, they tend to have some sort of meditation or some sort of like health practice that they do regularly. Do you find that that's a, commonality in this world?
I don't know. I hang around with a lot of people that take care of themselves. I think we draw that to ourselves. So
Okay.
it's the yoga school I go to is a big community. I know lots of people that run. I mean, in Colorado, I'm in like the fittest state in the country, I think. But so most of the people I hang around with, take care of themselves
Hmm.
and um, do something. Even if it's gardening or getting outside or walking in nature. Even if they're not more of an athlete like I am, not that I'm a great athlete anymore, but most of the people I hang out with, they take care of themselves. So I guess that's what I draw to myself, and I think we're happier and healthier for having that kind of outlet.
Yeah, and I mean because when you're working for yourself, you don't have anybody kind of like forcing you to do anything. You have to kind of come up with that energy yourself, and where are you going to get that, right?
Right. Well, you still have your clients, they're going to tell you how you're doing. So I guess it's even if I'm working for myself, there are people that I am catering to.
Hmm.
I feel it's different as a coach and a mentor than as an attorney. But yeah, it's really important. You have to be, I think as a solo person, you have to be your own motivator.
Yeah.
You have to really be someone who is organized and accountable. And if you have a day where you're just like, you just need a break, you're going to have to find a way to make it up, but it's not that bad. I mean, I really like it.
Me too. What kinds of tools do you use in your business to get success?
I mean, I guess what depends what kind of success you're talking about. For me personally, I guess I was really stressed out as an attorney because I had, my son was younger then, and um, there was a lot of responsibility that came with that, and it was a lot. So
Hmm.
what the tools I use for success are just making sure that I feel grounded and aligned and centered and aligned to what I want to create for myself in my life, aligned to helping the people that I'm working with. And I guess a lot of the tools I use with are maybe a little bit more energetic than just the kind of tools other people use. I just want to make sure that I feel like really grounded. So I might like one of the ways I do that is just visualize that there's roots of light going out of my body, like I pretend I'm a tree. That's how I explain it to people so they don't think I'm too weird. And it's anchored into the heart of the planet. So I am fully present here now because if I'm going to be helping people, I really have to be there with them. I can't be thinking about all the other things I have to do. I have to be fully present with what they're saying and be there, and so really listening. So I guess one of the things that really helps is to, and I've worked on this for years, is to really have good listening skills because I didn't as an attorney for a long time. And that's why I ended up getting my coaching diploma because I could tell that law school did not teach me, college did not teach me how to be a good listener. It taught me how to take tests and make A's, or it taught me how to go out and make money. But it didn't teach me how to listen to people. And whatever you're doing, most people really need to listen to some people, whether they're sending your business, whether they're your clients, you need to know how to listen.
Oh, I agree. And isn't it funny that they don't teach you that in school, right?
I don't think most people know how. I don't.
I agree. I agree. Most people are sort of listening to, they're not even listening. They're thinking about what they're going to say next to try to get their point across, right? Rather than trying to listen to what the other person is saying, right?
yeah, or they're trying to they want to turn the conversation back to them so they can make it all about them. And
Hmm.
it's kind of it feels really, I don't know, it just feels really deflating. That's not even the right word, but it's just not a comfortable place to be with somebody. It's just like, why am I talking to you? I mean, I know that I'd like to get some business from you if I'm in a meeting or something, but I find it really unpleasant to be with people like that. What's the point?
I agree. That's why I like these podcasts so much. I get the chance to meet people that are like-minded, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So now, tell me a little bit more. It's time for your guest solo. So tell me a little bit more about what's exciting in your business right now.
I guess what's exciting in my business is that, well, first of all, I'm taking this course to study so I can go out and do some more speaking. And
Hmm.
I guess the podcasts have been like a really a springboard for that. Like I'm diving off of a high dive, and I never liked to climb up that high when I was even younger. That felt really scary to me. But I guess what's really is I've only been doing the podcasting for the past year, and I feel like it's really expanded my horizons because even if you know
Hmm.
your topic, it's very different to get on a show like this and be able to converse with it articulately and not sort of sit there like I don't have a script to read. So I really love how that's expanding things out, and I'm really excited about this course that I'm working with about getting out there and speaking more and maybe doing workshops and stuff and checking out conferences and associations. I'm just kind of in the beginning stages of it, but I find it really, really cool. I think it's a great way to get out and to be more of service to people. Coaching and mentoring and the soul readings that I do, that's great. I love it. But I sort of like, I'm interested in expanding out and I guess making a bigger splash by being able to talk to, groups of people.
Nice. So what kinds of people would get the most out of working with you?
I guess people that really they maybe they know that there's something missing in their life because I really feel that it's important, and I work with people with this. What are you passionate about? What do you really want to create for yourself in your life? And it can be a hobby, it can be something about work, or what really needs to change in your life. How can a lot of the people that come to me, they want the passion, they want the excitement, but they're so darn stressed out.
Mm.
They feel overwhelmed, they feel stressed, they feel anxious, they have all these plates spinning at once. They have kids, they have a career, they have a partner, they have a boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever they have, or aging parents, and it feels like too much. So
Mm.
I do help people to help them get more of that balance and harmony back in their life. And I also help them to feel into like really what makes my heart sing and how can I have more of that in my life as well. So I guess if that's something that interests you, then that would be what I could help you with.
Okay. So really you help them kind of unravel what's going on in their life and sort of organize it a little bit better. And that tends to lead towards more joy.
Yeah, and just to learn how to let go of some of that stress,
Mm.
sometimes just working with breath work or relaxation or organizing yourself so that you learn how to delegate better. It's not like all head on the ground stuff, it's heart stuff too, because when you feel different on the inside and you're more calm, you're more relaxed, it's a lot easier just to handle all the stuff you have to do on the outside, or even just having a knowing that what you're doing is okay and you're on the right path, because sometimes people come to me and they're just being so incredibly hard on themselves. And just
Mm.
to know how to acknowledge themselves for all the little successes they have every day and to celebrate those successes and to stop having such ridiculous expectations that you're going to set yourself up for failure. So when we start to change all of that, we start changing how we feel on the inside. So even if we have lots of challenges and everything on the outside, it's going to be more manageable. We won't be so freaked out because we feel different. We're here, we're breathing, we're not all tensed up like a tight ball, we're more expanded out.
Nice. Well, I imagine there's probably a few people that's not like that who might be in that situation. So if they are, what does the process look like? Like, how do they get in touch with you, and what happens once they do?
Well, my business is Jewel Consultancy, Jewel, like the diamond. And you can email me or call me or text me from my website. It gives you the number and the email address. I don't
Hmm.
make you fill out a box or anything for me to respond back to you. It has everything right there. And my full name is Arlene Cohen, Cohen Miller, and there's I don't know anyone else with that name. So if you Google it, you're going to find me.
Okay, awesome. And then once they do find you, do they can they book you for a call or how does that work?
Yeah, we can chat and get to know each other and see what's going on for you. I'm changing that. I used to charge for that. I don't anymore. And
Okay,
so even though it's on my website, you can just ignore that and we'll have a phone call and just see what's going on for you and what you're looking for and where your struggles are and where your strengths are and where you'd like to be that's different from now and see if you'd like to have a session or two or buy a package or whatever it is that you want to do. So yeah, I'm pretty laid back. I just feel like it's really important that the person I'm working with, that we have an affinity, that there's some sort of connection that they're going to feel comfortable with me and I'm going to feel comfortable with them.
nice. Now, is this like a one-on-one stuff or is there group stuff or what how does that work?
Well, I do mostly one-on-one coaching for the coaching and mentoring. I do have a meetup group online that I run every week. That group work, and I do an in-person one in Boulder, Colorado, which is just a little bit down the street for me, more of the spiritual bent. Just
Hmm.
learning like techniques and practices to energetically feel better and to hold a bigger, larger space for ourselves, so we're not so much, bombarded by what's going on in the world.
Wow. So now you had mentioned in our pre-chat that you have a few different businesses. Can you mention those and how to find them?
My different businesses.
Yes.
I have one business that's Jewel Consultancy, and
Okay.
within my business, I do coaching, mentoring, and soul readings, and I also run weekly classes within that as well. So you can really all you have to do is come to my website, call me up or text me, and we'll set up a preliminary call and see what works for you.
Okay, awesome.
Because
So everything's
I
all in one
yeah,
business.
everything's all in one business. I sold my law firm quite a few years ago, the
Mhm.
second law firm, and so coaching and mentoring and what I do—that's what I do now, and soon
That's
speaking.
awesome. That's awesome. Well, that sounds awesome. Thank you so much for rocking out with me today. And this was a lot of fun. I hope you had a lot of fun too.
I did.
Good. And to the listeners, make sure you subscribe, rate, and comment, and we'll see you next time on the Work at Home Rockstar podcast.